Hey, everybody. Man, it's been about 8 or 9 weeks since lockdown, and I hope all of you are safe. I hope you're healthy. I'm sure that it's been tough for everybody. I want to talk about in this market update, it's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these, and I want to talk about first, we're going to go into the bond market and how that's affecting interest rates. But right after that, there's some reoccurring themes that have come up from my conversations with not just clients, but also realtors and really the average Joe who knows I'm a loan officer. They want to talk about what's happening with housing, right? Like, are we going to see some sort of a decline in the values of homes? Is there going to are we going to see foreclosures, or is there going to be this incredible buying opportunity? So I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm going to tell you what I'm not kidding you guys. I have sat through dozens of hours of webinars with different economists, market movers. One guy in particular I really like is Dave Stevens, who was the Assistant Secretary of HUD under the Obama administration. So from 2009 to 2011, he was there, helping to fix our economy. But also Barry Habib. He is, man, I cannot tell you how much I admire this guy. I've been listening to him for years. He's right way more often than he's wrong. And in fact, lately, he's been making phone calls and speaking with Mark Calabria, who is the head of the FHFA, which is the governing body that that governs Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So before we get into all of that, let's take a look real quick at the bond market. So, man, you guys all remember this from my last video, right? Just complete craziness. Stock market tanked 3,000 points in one day, and the bond market was just going nuts. You have to remember that when a lender locks a loan for you, I'm using my little fingers, they're not actually physically locking anything. That's just a promise to deliver a certain rate to all of you. And what they do to be able to deliver that rate is they go in and they purchase options, right? So if the market goes against them and the bond market winds up going down and rates go up, and let's say they lock you at 3.5%, and then all of a sudden rates go up, well, they're made whole by those options. But when you play in the option market, you take the risk of having a margin call. And when the Fed, came in there and they started buying literally 30, $40 billion a day in the bond and treasury market, because this is what worked before the collapse, right? But man, it was well-intentioned, but it was the wrong thing to do. All this massive movement here was causing massive margin calls to lenders. I know the biggest boys in the business were writing, $35 million, $50 million checks in margin calls alone. So they got the message to the Fed, hey, please, we know you're trying to help, but you need to stop doing what you're doing. Bring it down. And this is exactly what happened. Check this out. I mean, it's like almost like a flat line. Like, here's where the heart attack was, and then all of a sudden, here's where the flat line comes. Now, here's what I want you to pay attention to. You see that little dotted red line up there? So that's what we call a resistance level. And you can see how the bonds have been kind of hugging that level and not wanting to break through that level. So in the short term, we've seen that, most lenders have brought their rates back down again. Some of them are still high because they just don't have the bandwidth to do the loans. But most of us have brought the rates back down. But the likelihood that they're going to continue to go down much further, at least the way things are looking right now in the short term, is probably not as good of a chance as them either staying the same or maybe even dipping down a little bit. So most of you have taken my advice and you've put in an application to refinance, and we're waiting for the right rate. But this is what I'm looking at when I'm trying to, give you guys advice as to whether or not you should be locking and whatnot. So right now, as far as the mortgages go, as far as the refinance and the purchase market, rates are fairly stable right now. Well, I'm going to go to a different screen because I want to talk about this. This came out today. As states reopen, home buyers rush back out, but sellers are staying on the sidelines. So what does that mean? That means that there are a ton of people out there who are ready to buy now. Maybe they're millennials that were living in apartments and went, hey, this is no good, this renting situation. I need to go out and buy something. Excuse me, I need to take a drink. So there's a ton of people out there that are still wanting to buy, but most of the sellers are not wanting to sell. Think about it. If you were thinking about selling your house, do you want an open house where there's, 40 people walking in your house that could potentially be sick? Absolutely not, right? Do you even want 4 people walking in your house? Probably not. So this could be a reason why we see that, sellers are not rushing to put their houses on the market. The gentleman that I was telling you about, Dave Stevens, and also Barry Habib, been sitting in a lot of their webinars, and they expect that the recovery is probably going to start really in force somewhere around July. And we could start seeing, the unemployment levels go down. Nobody expects them to drop dramatically, but they'll probably, we'll see a relatively slow improvement in employment. And the government has no desire to allow the mortgage industry to tank. They know what happened after 2008, that when the mortgage industry goes, the entire market goes, or the entire economy does. But also what happened back in 2008, there's no comparison what happened today, what's happening today. Most of you who own homes, you saved a ton of money. You had to qualify for your home. So the likelihood you're just going to let your home go is pretty unlikely. Here's what could happen though. And a realtor friend of mine, Jay, who I'll mention, pointed this out to me. What about the people that, maybe they're not in danger of losing their house? They just don't want to see that they don't have, 10 years to, if the market does drop 10 or 15%, for the market to go back up again. So maybe they wind up selling and then just waiting on the sidelines. Well, that could happen. But once again, the supply is much smaller than the demand right now. So as houses become available again, more than likely the inventory will get eaten up. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, guys. I know I didn't expect the coronavirus. I know all of you guys didn't. So anybody who tells you they absolutely know what's going to happen probably is not shooting straight with you, right? What I would say to you is this, is that if you're renting and you have the ability to qualify and buy a house, we have some of the lowest rates in history right now. It's probably a really good time for you to think about doing that. If you own already and you're thinking about refinancing, as long as the savings is there for you, makes total sense. What I would encourage you to do, if you don't know exactly what you want to do or what you need to do, I suggest setting up an appointment with either myself or my partner / son, Shane. Let's talk about your situation. Let's talk about your short-term and your long-term goals. Our goal is just to try and be as helpful as we can to you, because we know that if we're as helpful as we can, then eventually you'll do business with us. So whether we talk about doing something right now, a year from now, 2 years from now, once again, take advantage of the opportunity to sit down and talk to us and let us hash out your individual situation. Okay, so the email that was sent to you, there's a link down there that says schedule an appointment. We have a Calendly thing set up where you can actually schedule an appointment, or you can just email us, or heck, call me, 949-735-4009. Let's talk about what's right for you. Let's stay positive. Let's stay focused on staying away from the negative, crisis news networks, one of the 24-hour news cycles, because they are not giving you accurate information all the time. I'll just say it that way. Okay. There is light at the end of this tunnel. There's going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity, but the people that are going to be able to take advantage of that opportunity are the people that are prepared. Okay. So give us a call, send us a smoke signal, however you want to do it, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Take care.